By 2019, YoungBoy was a long way from the dangerous streets of Baton Rouge. He was now a Billboard charting recording artist with a multi-million-dollar record deal and a whole lot of people depending on him. He was also on probation, getting a 10-year suspended sentence for his role in a double attempted murder the day after his cousin was killed. So, he would have to move smart if he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity being offered to him. After accepting his plea deal and narrowly avoiding 10 years in prison, YoungBoy vowed to leave the dangers of Baton Rouge for Los Angeles, rapping on his comeback single Untouchable that he needed to move to a city where he didn't need to stay armed to be safe, with YoungBoy even explaining in a Genius interview about that lyric that he simply didn't need to worry about people shooting at him in Los Angeles. YoungBoy would be seen mobbing in LA surrounded by his NBA brothers in the music video for his 2017 song 41, where he was clearly living the high life, pulling up to the cookout in a fresh Lamborghini drop top. A Lamborghini which he would duly total within a month, leading to him and his manager Big Dump being sued in LA. YoungBoy's life was truly chaotic wherever he went, but he'd be better off crashing a Lambo in Beverly Hills than he would be crashing out and gangbanging in Baton Rouge. So his team kept him out of the streets and in the studio where he could focus on making more hits, and those hits would continue to come thick and fast. By this point, YoungBoy had dropped an insane 14 full projects, with 8 songs charting on the Billboard Hot 100 and an insane 11 projects charting on Billboard's 200 album chart. At the start of 2019, YoungBoy was riding high off the news that he had been named as YouTube's top streaming artist in the United States for nearly 101 weeks straight, with it being claimed that he had racked up a whopping 8 million global views just on YouTube per day, giving him yet another reason to go by the nickname Top, which he apparently got from his grandfather originally. YoungBoy wasn't just having success, he was becoming one of the all-time greats of the rap genre. With his unmatchable work rate, creativity, and realness, by just age 19, he had cemented himself as one of the top rappers to ever do it, and no doubt, all of this success was having a devastating effect on the enemies that he had left behind in Baton Rouge. And YoungBoy would continue to use his music and position at the top of the rap game to taunt his rivals and drop clues about the goings-on in Baton Rouge's gang underworld. His first release in 2019 was the song Kick Yo Door, an aggressive home invasion anthem where YoungBoy rapped about kicking in doors and doing robberies with his gang. In April 2019, he dropped his new song Free D-Dog, a tribute to an incarcerated homie. The track was an aggressive murder anthem where YoungBoy would boast confidently about having people killed for disrespecting him or his people or speaking on him. He would seem to diss his former crew turned ops TBG, saying that certain people used to run his city but now they can't even claim it, and ending the song saying that his ops will become victims and end up on the news. These lyrics seem to be a cloaked reference to G-Money and Boulevard Quick, 2 rappers from rival crew TBG who had been gunned down during their beef with NBA, and no doubt that their surviving friends Fredo Bang and Lit Yoshi from TBG were furious about the ongoing disrespect after losing their close friends. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, soon his beef in the streets would collide with his music career with disastrous consequences. In April 2019, Fredo Bang releases his latest project, Big Ape, an album that saw him repping his TBG flag with pride and dropping numerous songs that included cloaked threats towards YoungBoy. On the opening track Shoot, he dropped numerous lyrics claiming to be putting money up for people to be killed, even saying outright, when it's beef, nobody's safe, even if you're rich. Throughout the project, he would drop hints towards putting prices on his ops' heads, and it was clear from Fredo Bang's lyrics that TBG wanted YoungBoy gone. And it would only be a month after that project released that the real-life violence would continue to play out on the streets. But this time, trouble wouldn't play out in the slums of Baton Rouge. In fact, the gang warfare would follow YoungBoy to the sandy beaches of Miami. In May 2019, everyone's favourite rap music festival, Rolling Loud, would be set to take place in Miami, and YoungBoy would be in town to perform at the festival in what would be a hugely lucrative and high-profile performance. YoungBoy was booked to play on the Sunday, May 12th slot where Kid Cudi was headlining, but this was a star-studded weekend, and many of the biggest names in the rap game would be in town to perform at this event. Lil Durk was due to perform on Friday, Saturday saw Lil Wayne, 21 Savage, Kodak Black, and Chief Keef touch the stage, and on Sunday, fans would see Lil Uzi, Gucci Mane, G Herbo sharing the stage with YoungBoy. However, all of these crews in town at the same time, no doubt there would be interconnected beefing going on between numerous camps. Apparently, early Friday morning, YoungBoy was attending a strip club party with Young Thug, who was due to perform Saturday, where apparently somebody popped off a few rounds at the party bus that was driving between venues, an attack which TMZ reported was targeting Young Thug.
Young Thug and his entourage became the apparent victims of a drive-by shooting that went down this morning on I-95.
The shooting happened on Interstate 95, and YoungBoy's TBG nemesis Lit Yoshi would later rap on the song Cutter, which dropped a couple of months later in June 2019, that he caught him on the interstate, 7 swerved, I was bussin', seemingly a reference to the shooting on the interstate and naming fellow TBG affiliate Seven Hardaway as the driver. But unfortunately for YoungBoy, that was only the beginning of the trouble, because at this point, it seemed that his ops were in town and on the hunt to try and catch YoungBoy lacking. Lit Yoshi would actually be seen on social media that weekend, riding around Miami, listening to Fredo Bang's album and holding a rifle, seemingly looking for YoungBoy. On Sunday the 12th of May, when YoungBoy was due to perform, he would make a tweet that was geolocation tagged to Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, warning his ops that he doesn't care who they are or what they did, he will up his gun on them. Fans would warn YoungBoy that the location tag on his tweet meant his ops might be able to locate him, but it was unfortunately too late. YoungBoy's enemies would work out that he was staying at the Trump International Hotel and Beach Resort in Sunny Isles, Miami. Apparently YoungBoy was traveling with a large crew that included his girlfriend, as well as OG3 and several other unnamed affiliates and family members. As YoungBoy left the hotel with his entourage to make his way to the Rolling Loud Festival performance, the group would be ambushed by a black Cadillac outside the hotel. According to reports, somebody opened fire from the Escalade towards YoungBoy's entourage, prompting return fire from members of his crew who had their own gun, with court papers later explaining that YoungBoy, his family, and entourage were traveling in a two-car convoy that was shot up drive-by style, with the front car that carried his mother and friends being shot first, with YoungBoy and his girlfriend in the second car that was then also shot at. This would be a chaotic scene, and YoungBoy's girlfriend, Kaylin Marie Long, was hit in the shoulder and later taken to hospital. But the biggest tragedy of all would be a case of incredible bad luck, as according to court documents, in YoungBoy's car was a bag full of guns, and when shots started flying, members of YoungBoy's entourage returned fire with apparently legally registered firearms, and apparently, at some point in the chaos, YoungBoy himself was given a gun and begun shooting back too. Authorities later described them as standing at the valet section, firing rifles wildly from the hip. Inevitably, this ended up with some tragic consequences, as 3 bystanders were hit in the crossfire, with it being reported that a 5-year-old child was grazed by a bullet, but even more tragic, one of these gunshots fired between these two warring crews claimed the life of an innocent bystander. 43-year-old Mohammed Jaradi, an honest, hard-working guy minding his own business who had just finished his shift working at the Hertz rent-a-car across the street, would catch a stray bullet and end up losing his life. This was a chaotic scene, with bullets flying and bodies dropping in the middle of the street in a major American city in broad daylight. Eventually, the police would shut down the street and gain control of the crime scene, and footage would circulate showing people being detained at the scene. Once the location had been locked down, the local news began to report on this Wild West shootout.
There was some sort of altercation that took place between 2 rappers who were actually set to perform at the Rolling Loud Festival this evening. Witnesses say they heard someone fire shots, at least 4 or 5 rounds. A woman was struck and raced to Aventura Hospital. Immediately following that shooting, the fight then spilled over again to the strip mall parking lot where we are at. This is directly across the street from the hotel. A man here, again, was shot and killed. A friend of the victims tells me off camera that he was simply an innocent bystander. He was working at the Hertz rental car company here at the strip mall and just parking a car when he was caught in the crossfire.
Now a new and a tragic day for one South Florida family. Their loved one becomes an innocent victim after shots are fired in the middle of the afternoon.
This type of behavior in this community is not acceptable.
A furious mayor of Sunny Isles Beach speaks out against the violence that erupted in his usually quiet town on Sunday afternoon. It was just before 2 o'clock when police received a 911 call about gunshots fired outside Trump International Beach Resort. When they arrived, they found 19-year-old Kaylin Long of Maryland had been shot inside a black Suburban, and across the street, an innocent man lies dead in the driver's seat of a dark gray van. Long was initially taken to Aventura Hospital. The streak of stray bullets did not end there.
Across the street, there was a 5-year-old little boy that was grazed by a bullet.
Police seized several weapons from the Trump Hotel and combed multiple scenes where gun shells and bullet holes were spotted. Witnesses tell CBS 4 the people involved were rappers reportedly here for the Rolling Loud musical festival.
Despite reports of YoungBoy being detained at the scene, in the midst of the chaos, he would actually manage to break free from authorities, being seen in footage later circulated by TMZ showing him giving his wounded girlfriend medical attention before jumping in a black SUV and fleeing the scene. From here, YoungBoy made his way to the Rolling Loud Festival site, performing his set as planned immediately after surviving this assassination attempt. Breaking free from an active crime scene where you were a participant in a shootout so that you can go and perform at a festival might seem cool on paper, but when YoungBoy got off that stage, he would have to face the consequences of what had just happened. However, there would still be some lucky breaks for the NBA crew. Apparently, investigators couldn't even charge anybody in YoungBoy's entourage for shooting back, despite the fact that an innocent bystander was killed, because all of YoungBoy's crew that were still at the scene claimed self-defense, and the state of Florida has a stand your ground law in place, whereby if an individual truly believes that deadly force is necessary to protect themselves or to prevent a crime, they can potentially be immune from prosecution. The cops said that they were apparently looking to determine who had shot first, as whoever shot first could apparently be charged with first-degree murder of the innocent bystander, even if it wasn't their bullet hitting them. In order to try and ensure that YoungBoy wasn't held liable, his legal team described the scene as an assassination attempt of which he was the target.
He's an absolute victim. There's no question. Police investigated it. They talked to him. His car was shot up. He was leaving the hotel. He had his mother in the car. He had his girlfriend in the car. And somebody came up, and I don't know what the weapons were. I don't know if it was an AK or what it was, but they opened fire and lit him on fire.
YoungBoy and his label apparently even offered to cover the funeral costs for the innocent man who died, but it's unclear as to whether or not they were taken up on this offer. And YoungBoy's lawyer had said that apparently he felt terrible about this and that he had wished it had been him that was killed rather than the innocent man. It was also initially reported that apparently YoungBoy had refused to cooperate with law enforcement who wanted to know who had initiated the shootout. But YoungBoy later said that that was just miscommunication, and that they hadn't really been given enough time to try and convince YoungBoy to speak to them about the incident, suggesting that he was scared to cooperate. With none of the actual antagonists who shot first in custody, however, unfortunately the consequences of this incident would still fall on YoungBoy's shoulders, and due to the fact that he was already on thin ice because of the 10-year suspended sentence he got for the attempted murder charges in 2016, a week later he would have to return to Baton Rouge for a court hearing where he was swiftly put back behind bars, with TMZ reporting that he had been jailed once again for violating his probation. This would be numerous violations, including being seen holding a gun in public, and being caught in the presence of NBA Boomer and Ben when the terms of his plea forbid him from associating with them. And apparently the judge had also claimed to have seen a video on social media of YoungBoy antagonizing his ops. Now, this was supposedly a social media which the judge claimed she saw, but then YoungBoy's lawyer, and myself included, couldn't even find.
The judge said that she looked at a news feed regarding the article, and in the comments there was some sort of embedded video that she since tried to look up, and I don't think she was able to find. So she wants to see if the district attorney's office can find or whatever videos they find. But I don't know what the video is. I haven't seen it.
But based on some of the things I've read, I'm pretty sure the video they're referring to was a clip where YoungBoy actually dissed blog site The Shade Room for covering him negatively.
I'm so sick of the Shade Room trying to paint me as a bad person. What the f is wrong with you? I know whoever running this page is grown. What the f is you worried about a teenager for?
So it seems the judge kind of misinterpreted what he had done, but I don't think he was supposed to be on social media like that. Anyway, meanwhile in Miami, the police would reveal to the public that they had absolutely no idea who the shooters were, but that they were looking for 3 suspects armed with an AK-47 and other handguns. Coincidentally, with this seeming to describe that very social media clip of TBG rapper Lit Yoshi posted just before the shooting when he was riding around Miami with an AK-47 listening to Fredo Bang. So, with Lit Yoshi still at large, YoungBoy would be left in a Baton Rouge jail, reflecting on everything that had just happened. Clearly, YoungBoy himself was devastated by this sequence of events. He was trying to move on with his life and career away from Baton Rouge, but the violence and death would just continue to follow him wherever he went. Perhaps it was karma for the violence that he had claimed responsibility for. In the song No Understand from YoungBoy's February 2021 project, Still Flexin', Still Steppin', YoungBoy even speaks on this shooting, saying that as the bullets flew, he didn't have enough time to grab his own gun, and saying that Baba Osama shot back, a claim that is seemingly confirmed by Girardi's family, who is suing both YoungBoy and Baba in relation to the shooting. And then in the next line, YoungBoy seems to pay respects to that innocent bystander who lost his life, as well as the child who was grazed in the shootout, saying that he feels the pain of the innocent, and that when he did his time in jail following the incident, he felt nothing, as he felt that the pain that he went through was suffering that he deserved on behalf of the man who lost his life and the child who was grazed, who shouldn't have been dragged into his conflicts. Following the shooting at the Trump Hotel in Miami, YoungBoy would remain in jail for 90 days before being released, but he would be seen in August 2019 looking like he'd put on some muscle, bailing out of jail and being picked up once again in a fresh Maybach. YoungBoy would be seen in selfies with his mother, and he would later go on live with family in his garage upon getting home.
Say something to the people. Hello. Hello. Huh? I ain't never had 112 damn people in my life. I never go live. I'm so serious. But they want to see it. They gonna be like, oh, Miss Monique Love, look at it. What they saying, y'all? Kentrell, you still fine. I love you. He is still fine, baby. That's right, yeah. He look like a Mexican cartel. We looking, hey, but we don't work well, Chapo, though.
The judge would order YoungBoy to remain on house arrest for 12 months following his release, with the court apparently deciding not to completely revoke his probation, giving him the opportunity to finish out his remaining year of probation without further punishment, in a deal that would not allow him to perform for the entire year either. So no more trips to Miami or California, and no more concerts. So YoungBoy, for the first time in his career, would be confined to his home, unable to play shows, shoot music videos, or slide on ops. He would remain in his home and focus on the one thing that made him successful: recording and releasing music. Already a prolific releaser of music, now with no distractions, as ordered by the court, YoungBoy would kick his creative spirit into overdrive, not only recording an insane amount of music, but arguably delivering the best bodies of work of his entire career, and going on a once-in-a-lifetime run of success, the likes of which the music industry had never seen. If you found that clip interesting, please hit the like and subscribe button, and if you want to watch the full-length version of this video, check out the documentary on my main channel, Trap Law Ross, and if you want the uncut version of that documentary with 30 minutes of footage I cannot show you on YouTube, then head on over to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can watch all of my best videos completely uncut for just $2. And if you want to keep in touch and get updates on the next documentaries that I'm going to be dropping, make sure you follow me on Instagram at traplawross. Appreciate it. Peace.